Welcome back to the Boston Chris podcast. And if you're new, I'd love to earn your subscription or follow with this brand new episode of the show featuring singer-songwriter Kristen Kelly. Let me tell you a little bit about Kristen. Kristen Kelly is a Texas-born and raised singer-songwriter who has been captivating audiences with her powerful vocals and heartfelt lyrics for years. She first made a name for herself in her home state, touring in a classic rock cover band called Big Dave and the Freaks, then in a duo named Modern Day Drifters, and later as Kristen Kelly and the Modern Day Drifters. Her songwriting career took off when she co-wrote Down in Flames with fellow Texas Red Dirt artist songwriters Stoney LaRue and the late, great Brandon Jenkins, scoring her first number 1 hit. She also found solo success at radio with her first top 10 on the Texas charts with I Remember When, and was named TRRR New Female Vocalist of the Year in 2011. Kristen's success caught the attention of Arista Nashville, which led to a major label debut overseen by Country Music Hall of Fame producer Tony Brown and Grammy-winning songwriter Paul Overstreet. Her first single, Ex-Old Man, skyrocketed to the top 30 of the Billboard charts, cementing her place as one of CMT's next women of country. Kristen has graced the stage of the Grand Ole Opry and the Ryman and has shared the stage as an opener and toured with renowned artists like Wade Bowen, Corey Morrow, Eli Young Band, Dwight Yoakam, Gary Allen, Dierks Bentley, Alan Jackson, Sheryl Crow, Jake Owen, Little Big Town, Brad Paisley, Rascal Flatts, and Willie Nelson, among many others. She has also headlined her own shows and had her song Ashes featured in the hit Netflix show The Ranch. Currently, she's writing and recording new music while touring to promote her Warrior album, which was released in February 2024. The album includes How Do You Sleep at Night, written with Brandy Clark and Shane McAnally, the untold follow-up question to her former best friend from her Billboard Top 30 single Ex-Old Man, along with other hits like Drink Myself Out of Love With You and the fan favorite He Loves to Make Me Cry. Don't miss the chance to experience Kristen Kelly's raw emotion and mesmerizing performance as she brings her soulful music to life on stage. And we are so freaking thrilled to have Kristen here as a guest this week here on the Boston Chris podcast. Make sure you're following along with everything we have. Like this episode, please, and comment down below your very favorite part of this episode. Follow everywhere. We are everywhere at the Boston Chris Show. And without any further ado, let's get into it with the one and only Kristen Kelly.
It's time to jam. It's time to mingle. It's time to see what everyone's drinking. It's time to jam. It's time to mingle. It's time to see what everyone's drinking. Until we all lose connection.
Hey, this is Steve Dorff, and thanks for listening to the Boston Chris Show.
Guys, it's Kristen Kelly week here on the Boston Chris podcast, and man, what a freaking treat this is, Kristen. Thank you so much for doing this for us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So,
I'm honored to be here.
I've been a big fan of yours for a while, and then found out through Kenzie Coppin that you guys were kind of friendly, and I was like, man, I have to get Kristen on the show. So it worked out really well. So I'm glad you're here, and of course you're also running a new single right now called the next big thing, or is it the next real thing?
The next right thing.
Right thing. That's right.
Yes, sir.
Next right
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, I think Jennifer Redding is running this single for you, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so I saw that, and I was like, man, I'm obviously a big fan of Jen's as well. So when she's rocking the singles, I always have to get her folks on here. So tell us a little bit about the song and how it came to be.
Okay. So the next right thing, I did not write at all. It's co-written by Frank Myers. Frank co-wrote
Yeah.
so many great songs, from stuff that Eddie Rabbitt recorded, Crystal Gale, that You and I.
Yeah.
One of the biggest songs that he wrote was I Swear.
Yeah.
And yeah, the story of how that song got recorded is amazing to hear Frank tell it, because he tried to get that song cut so many times. And then finally, when it did, it became this huge hit, for John Michael Montgomery. And anyways, so Frank Myers, Greg Freya, he's got some Lainey Wilson cuts,
Yeah.
and this is Greg's first song to go to radio ever. Like, with all the cuts that he has, this is the first one for him to go to radio. And then Oliver Lieber was the third writer on it, and Oliver Lieber was very instrumental in Paula Abdul's career. Like,
Wow.
the Forever Your Girl album.
Yeah.
He produced and co-wrote a bunch of that stuff. And so, yeah, I was playing a songwriters festival last summer in Florida, and it was for BMI, and Frank Myers and I both are BMI songwriters. And Frank and I have known each other. We've written together before, I think maybe once or twice. We've played songwriter festivals together before, but we've never shared the stage. And so the very first night, Frank was playing the headlining round in the room on the stage where I was booked to play right before him. And so Frank heard me sing, and he heard me speak of unexpectedly losing my dad. And as I was getting off stage and Frank was getting on stage, Frank pulled me aside and he said, "Kristen," he said, "there's this song that I wrote that I think that you need to hear. And I think that you need to sing it." And so I was like, okay. And so I put my guitar away and I came back and I saw his whole set. And then we were sitting around the room that evening after everybody had done, been done playing. And he plays me this song, and the fourth line in, the line is, "A drive in your old truck." And I immediately had to stop the song, and I had to get my composure. And then I looked at Frank and I was like, "Frank, already, this is a beautiful song." And the whole way it came to be is Frank knew about an interview where Winona was asked what she does to get by since her mama Naomi has passed. And she said, "I just do the next right thing." And so that's where the idea of the song came from. And I listened to the song, and I told Frank, I said, "This is an amazing song." I said, "Winona should sing this." And he said, "I think you need to sing this." And so that following month, I went into Jimmy Nichols' home studio there in Nashville, and I laid down a vocal, and then they had Bruce Boughton come in and play dobro on it, and Frank sang harmony on it because they had everything else already there. And after we got the song back, I got it to Winona's camp, like Winona's management, because I was like, "Winona needs to sing this song." And
You're
I don't know if
politicking
Winona
against yourself,
ever heard it
Kristen. What
or
are you
not.
doing?
Do what?
I said you're politicking against yourself.
Well, but the thing is, it's like, it's such a great song, and like, first and foremost, I'm a fan of music,
Yeah.
and I know how music can be so healing. Like, this song has been so healing for me. And so I just, from an outsider's standpoint, I guess, taking myself outside of the box, like, Winona needs to hear this, like, and she needs to sing it if it's supposed to be.
Right.
And Frank was so adamant. He was like, "Kristen," he said, "if Winona wants to sing on this song with you, then so be it. But this is your song." And so I don't know if Winona's heard it, but I know I did get it to her management. And we sent it to a bunch of people. And everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, this is a beautiful song," but nobody really jumped at the fact or the opportunity to try to help us release it. And so we sat on it. And my husband and I, we opened a restaurant here in Texas last December. And so I took some time off the road, and I worked the window while he cooked the burgers. And then finally, I had dates on the calendar that started picking back up. And long story short, last July, I had a show in the DFW area. And I got a phone call from a very good friend of mine His name is Reggie Parsons. He actually was a part of Bradley and I's wedding. But anyways, he called and he said there's a company out of Dallas that would love to meet with you and talk to you about your music. And I said, okay. And so I did some research on the company, and they have a lot of soul artists and R&B artists and some rap artists, and they've never worked with an Americana or country artist. And so I was like, man, I don't know if I'm the right fit for these people, but let's take this meeting. And so we actually ended up, like a day or two before the meeting, I called Reggie, and I actually called the meeting off because I legit didn't know that it was going to be the right fit. And then Reggie called me back and he goes, Kristen, he said, you never know. He's like, let's just show up. You never know. So we showed up and we had this meeting at 11 a.m. and we left around 1 p.m. And we talked about everything. Like I toured their studio, and we talked about if I had any music that I, was ready to release. And I said yes, but I didn't go into details about anything. And so as we're leaving, the gentleman that we met with texted at 1:11 p.m. And that is a very significant thing for me. I was driving from Nashville to Texas January 21st of 22, and I had gotten a message around 11:11 that morning on Instagram, and it said, God bless you and your dad. And I was like, that's odd. And so I tried to call my dad, and he didn't answer, but that wasn't odd. And I tried to call my sister, and I was driving to Texas because I had shows to play. And finally, my sister calls me back, and we were talking, and I was like, I got this interesting message, and it just was weird. And I was like, I tried to call dad, and he didn't answer. And I was like, have you been able to get a hold of him? And she was like, well, I don't know, but I think everything's okay. And I was like, I don't know. And I was like, this is just weird. I was like, did he get pulled over? Did he have an accident? Like, what's going on? And I could tell she was real hesitant, and she didn't want to tell me what was going on. And she convinced me that I had to pull over. And so I did. And at 1:11 p.m. is when my sister told me that dad had passed the night before. Like, that's when I found out. And I sat on the side of the interstate for a good while. And at this point, there was already arrangements made for, like, my sister and her husband. They were already about to get on a plane. It was just nobody wanted to tell me because I was driving, and I was driving by myself. And I had family members who were like, will you just stay where you are, and we will drive to you, and like somebody can follow you. And I was like, no, it's okay. I will get it together, and I will get there. And I did get it together, and I was 4 miles outside of Hope, Arkansas. And the number 4 is significant. Like, that's been my number for forever. I have a song called Hope Floats, which is a whole nother story. But anywho, I finally made it to Texas. And when I made it to Texas, the first thing I did was go to my dad's truck and just sit in that truck for a couple of hours. And so when I heard that line in The Next Right Thing, a driving your old truck, I lost it, Mm-hmm. Like, I'm 4 lines in, and I'm already, like, weeping as I'm listening to this song for the first time. But my dad, that truck got my dad to and from job sites. My dad was a mechanic, and he did excavation work. And it's a first generation 12 valve Cummins Dodge dually, single cab. It's 2-wheel drive, not 4-wheel drive. It's really rough around the edges. It actually has a salvage title. But that truck is just, like, I literally sat in that truck for over, I think, maybe 2 hours. I don't know.
I have a very similar
where
story.
I felt close to him. Um, and so for us to take that meeting and to get that message at 1:11 p.m. that, hey, thank you so much for taking this meeting today. We'll see you at your show tonight. I felt like that was a little synchronicity, God wink, or whatever, that they didn't know,
Yeah.
that 1:11 is a thing for me. And so, anyways, they came to my show and they just kept communicating that they wanted to work together. And they said, do you have any music that you want to release? And I sent them The Next Right Thing, and they were like, wow, this is beautiful. This is amazing. We want to help you get this out to the world. So it's a long answer for a question of what does the next right thing mean to me, but it's all significant. And the fact that it is my highest charting single ever in my career, and it's still climbing. We still have stations that are committing to playing it. I just feel really grateful and really humbled. And one thing that my dad always said to me was, Kristen, you keep writing and you keep singing no matter what. So I feel like he's got a hand in all of it too.
Yeah. So that line is, it hit me too. And I've got kind of the same story as you. It was a little bit different. My dad had a Chevy Colorado, and it was extended cab. I'll never forget it. And so when my dad passed away, it was 2013. I was the one that had to keep everything together. I had to keep my mom going. I had to keep my kids going. I was in the middle, so there wasn't really time for me to grieve. Like, I had to make sure everybody else was taken care of. So eventually we decided that we couldn't afford the truck anymore, so we decided to sell it. And in lieu of selling it, I had to clean it, and I had to get his extra set of keys out of it and all of that. And I had not been in the truck since he had passed. And I hadn't cried since he had passed. And we're talking like months later, right, Kristen? And so I get into that truck, and just the smell of him hit me. And it was over. Like, I was just gone, and I sobbed for hours just sitting there in that truck. So the same line in that song hit me the same way it hit you. So, yeah. And that's the mark of a great song, because there's so many lines in this song, and each one has the potential to hit somebody the same way that one line hit us, right?
Amen.
Yeah. So even though I messed up the title, I apologize. I was nervous a little bit at the beginning. It's obviously The Next Right Thing. It's such a great song. And I am so freaking happy that Frank made you take this song when you were trying to give it to Winona, because you are perfect for this song. You have to know that
Thank
now,
you.
right? You know that now, right?
Thank you. I really, like, to be honest, I am grateful and humbled for the places that music continuously takes me. And to be the vessel called to deliver this song, I mean, it's brought me a lot of healing. And so for it to resonate with others, and for me to be a small part of that is mind-blowing.
Yeah, well, I mean, you being
You know?
able to connect to the song and have a story to tell about the song, even though it's not technically your song, means everything to the delivery of that song. I assure you. And I think Frank probably knew that. Frank's a smart guy, so I'm sure he knew that. And I mean, just an all-star team on this song in the writing department, in the studio part of it too. So I think it's just meant to be. Let's talk a little bit about your Genesis story. You grew up in Lorena, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So what's that
Lorena,
like?
Texas.
Yeah, Lorena, Texas. First of all, where is that for our outside of Texas viewers? And what was it like growing up there?
So Lorena is 10 minutes south of Waco, halfway between Austin and Dallas. You blink, you miss us. And grew up, actually, whenever I was first born and my sister was born, we lived in a mobile home on the Brazos River. It's a lot that's been in our family. It still is to this day. And before I started kindergarten, we moved to Lorena, out in the Levi Cottonwood area. But it's Lorena School District, and so grew up out there on 10 acres. Went to Cottonwood Baptist Church, sang at church, sang at church camp, was in choir in school. I played sports in school. I gravitated towards volleyball. Ended up playing junior Olympic volleyball while I was in school. I was a cheerleader, and I thought that I was going to be a volleyball coach and the woman who herds the cheerleaders around. I actually got a college volleyball scholarship.
Was that the first
so,
passion,
yeah,
was sports? Would you say that was the first passion, sports, or was music first?
Oh, definitely sports. And I never
Yeah.
dreamt I was going to be doing music.
Yeah.
That's the funny part about it. Like, I straight up, I never dreamt I was going to be doing music. I was in band, but only up through like 8th grade. I was not in band in high school. And yeah, I am a child sexual abuse survivor. And I wrote poetry to process what I was told I could never tell anybody about. And that threatened with, if I ever did, nobody would ever believe me. And so, yeah, that the man who used to be my stepfather is in prison for the rest of his life for all the horrible things that he did to me. But I never dreamt. I mean, I legit thought I was going to be a volleyball coach. And so I graduated high school 2 weeks before I was supposed to move off to college. Is when I broke my silence and turned my stepdad in. So my life got put on hold for 2 years because we had to prepare for trial. He was arrested in his hotel room in Laughlin, Nevada. They found VHS tapes hidden in a locked toolbox in the garage. There was like I say, 2 years worth of trial apparel.
What's getting you through that? Is it words? You talked about poetry. Is that what's getting you through?
Oh yeah, I wrote poetry to process all of that. And so went to trial. He was convicted on all counts, spending the rest of his life in prison. And so my life had been put on hold because I was working with the DA all the time trying to prepare. And then a week-long trial. So after that, I could like kind of breathe again. And I actually went to Temple College, which is where I had a volleyball scholarship, and was playing volleyball. And I was bartending my way through college. And we had a slow night at the bar, and we had karaoke set up. And I got up and I sang something in between waiting on people. And there was a gentleman in the room that night that pulled me aside and asked me to sing something a cappella. And he said, "Do you want to be in a band?" And I looked around thinking I was about to be punked, you know, because this is, yeah, this is like early 2000s, you know. And so that's not something, I mean, in Lorena, Texas, you don't really get that. That's not a common question. You want to be in a band?
Right.
And so I said yes, and that started my 3-year stint in a classic rock cover band called Big Dave and the Freaks, and it was
that's the story of how you became a freak, right?
Yeah, but that's how music like got its hooks in, and because we were playing the Bruce Biletti Mayfest in May of 2004. And Stoney LaRue and the late Brandon Jenkins, God rest his soul, love you, buddy, and miss you.
Oh man, yeah.
They were opening up for us that night, and after the show, we went to a big old pasture party. It was the guy that I was dating at the time. We went to his property, and there was a big bonfire burning, and sitting in the bed of a pickup, Brandon and Stoney and I co-wrote "Down in Flames."
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, and
Wow.
so Brandon leaves. He gets all my contact info. He leaves 2 months later. In July of 2004, he releases the Down in Flames album. And he registers everything with BMI, and it's all there, you know, like Brandon Jenkins, Stoney LaRue, Kristen Kelly, Down in Flames. And it completely changed the trajectory of my life. I ended up leaving Temple College in Temple. I went to MCC, McLennan Community College. They have a commercial music program there that's based after the South Plains College in Levelland, Texas. Jonathan Coots, an amazing drummer. He's one of the head instructors out there. You've got Dick Gimbel. He's one of the great instructors out there. I can't think of everybody, all the instructors, but and I don't know if all of the ones that were there whenever I was there are still there too, but I know those are. But yeah, so I mean that changed the trajectory of everything for me, and I switched schools, switched majors, and I became a commercial music major. I started out as a vocal performance major, and then halfway through the program, I thought, how many artists go to school for music? If I go, I'm going to go for the business side of things. So I have a commercial music management degree from McLennan Community College. And I have, since I started in that classic rock cover band, whether I've scrubbed toilets, hauled people around driving for Uber or Lyft, or been a substitute teacher, or I don't know.
Isn't it such a glamorous life, Kristen?
Yeah, it is. It really is, you know?
Let me ask you this question.
Everybody thinks
Go ahead.
everybody thinks it's so like
Yeah.
fancy.
Fancy,
You know?
yeah.
And it's not all, I mean, it can be, but a lot of it is elbow crawling through the trenches.
Yeah, it's
just
very
like
gritty.
any other-
Very gritty.
Yeah, just like any other walk of profession that somebody chooses, you know? There's peaks and valleys, and you're gonna be like, what am I doing a lot of the time? Seriously.
So, looking back at that moment in the flatbed truck with frickin' Stoney LaRue and Brandon Jenkins, holy crap, right? You know what that moment is now, but when you were living that moment, did you understand where you were and who you were with at the time?
You know, it's really crazy because, like, a lot of the people from that early 2000s scene were, like, a lot of them are based out of Central Texas. A
Yeah.
lot of Stoney's band. You know what I mean? You've got Rodney Pyatt, you've got Jeremy Bryant, Jeremy Watkins, Amanda Brown. You know, there's a big group of people that were very much a part of the scene ever since then that I kind of inadvertently found myself elbow crawling through the trenches with.
Yeah. And up till that point,
it really blows my mind. That's what I'm saying. Like, I thought I was going to be a volleyball coach and the woman who herds the cheerleaders, and I literally came up through the scene with Wade, with Randy. Like, I played so many shows with Krager and Fowler and Corey Morrow and Eli Youngman and Gary Allen, and and then ended up in Nashville, and not ever on my bingo card, ever.
yeah. But up till that point, it's still vocally based. Is it still vocally based for you at that point, or are you playing an instrument now?
You know, I started playing guitar because that's how I was trying to write, you know,
Yeah.
and trying to translate what's in my head, not just. Well, I think first and foremost, when it comes to creativity, I feel like writing, you know, lyricist is probably where I feel strongest. I don't feel like I'm always a great melody person, and that might be because I'm not going to shred any sick solos that are going to melt anybody's face off, but yeah, but I tried to play, and part of the curriculum through MCC is guitar lessons and piano lessons and all that kind of stuff. So I was more into commercial instruments, you know, versus like being in a band. I played flute whenever I was in band, but so I was around more commercial instruments through my getting my education at MCC. But I found a guitar at a pawn shop and started strumming along.
I
And you
love.
know what? The way I learned to play Ex Old Man, my own damn song, I watched somebody else play it on the YouTube.
Are you kidding? That is so funny.
I'm not kidding.
Oh my
I'm not
gosh!
kidding.
All right, we're gonna talk about that a little later. I definitely want to chat about Ex Old Man because it's so quintessentially who you are. I love that song
Okay.
too, man. Just a great tune. But yeah, that's a later topic for this show. But yeah, I did not know that you wrote with Brandon. Brandon was such a incredible guy. First of all, just an incredible human being before anything else. But like, just a giant of a songwriter as well, and obviously a great Texas artist and all of that. But like, I always put Brandon like human songwriter and then musician artist after that. But man, what a loss! It still felt. Man, I was talking to him the day before, like all that went down, and he went to the hospital and everything. Man, it's just I still think about it every day. You know what I mean? Like he's just such a different guy. I love that you wrote with him. So I'm gonna have to look that up and check out the song after we're done talking.
Yeah, there's a few songs on his last album that he released right before he passed too
The Revival album.
that I wrote with him, and yeah, he's a very instrumental part of my music career. You know, like being a champion of mine as a songwriter. Um, and it was really cool. I got to invite him to play the Bluebird, and so to sit in a room in a circle and get to witness the Bluebird, witness his magic, I'll never forget it. It's yeah, Brandon, he was a really great dude, and I'm really grateful that you know he was a steward and a champion of mine. You know,
That's who Brandon was, man. To be honest, like if he resonated with someone, he fought for that person. Like man, I'll tell you what, he fought like no other. I never got to interview him. We were in the process of making that happen when everything went down, and probably one of my biggest regrets. Daryl Singletary was another one that I almost had an interview with when he passed unexpectedly as well. So that's part of the reason why I do these shows, man. It's just we're only here for a short time, you know, and I'm reminded of that all the time. It's just life's such a tough thing. Let me ask you this: you know, you're in this classic rock cover band. You're writing with giants already, and you did mention that you end up in Nashville. You signed with Arista eventually. What does it look like going from that cover band to ultimately ending up in Nashville? What's happening for you during that season of your life?
Well, so I graduated in 2006 with my commercial music management degree, and I had met a guy in school who had asked me to sing harmony on his project, and throughout that process, we started looking at songs that I had written, and so we recorded those, and he sang harmony, and we became a duo called Modern Day Drifters, and we won Americana Band of the Year, mid 2000s. I don't know, I have the plaque at the house, but we were gaining some recognition, you know, like making some waves, and he had a family member get sick, and he had to move back down to South Texas, and so that's when we discussed it, and I had registered the DBA, Modern Day Drifters. So I moved forward as Kristen Kelly and the Modern Day Drifters,
Right.
and was touring Texas. I got invited to play Dierks Bentley's Miles in Music at Billy Bob's in Fort Worth in April of 2010, and there were a whole bunch of us that were on that show, Roger Krager being one of them, and Paul Overstreet, the songwriter and artist, was on the road with Roger, and he was there, and Paul heard me sing, approached me backstage, and invited me to Nashville to write with him. And I was like, it was kind of like one of those, do you want to be in a band?
Right. Except a million times
I'm like,
more
what
at this point.
is my life right
Right.
now?
Yeah.
And so, because for anybody who is unfamiliar with Paul Overstreet co-wrote "When You Say Nothing at All"
Yeah.
and "Digging Up Bones" for Randy Travis.
One of the best ever. Literally one of the best ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, yeah. So I go to Nashville. Well, we had it scheduled, and that big flood happened in 2010. And so I was like, well, that was fun. The whole idea was fun while it lasted. And Paul and Julie, their property is on a river. I think it's the Harpeth. I can't remember. But part of their property got flooded. And so Paul called and he was like, I still want to write with you. We're just going to have to reschedule. And so we did. And I ended up going a couple months later. And at this point, I have been divorced for almost 10 years. Because when my life, after I graduated high school, that following fall, I ran into a guy that had gone to Lorena. He was a few years older than me. I saw him at the fair, and he had always come back to the football games, the high school football games, and I was a cheerleader, and he would invite me to their parties, and I'm like, why? You don't need no high school girl at your party. I never went to. And so, anyways, I ran into him at the fair, and he was like, "Why don't you let me take you out since you never came to those parties all those time I asked you?" And I was like, "Okay, fine." So, anyways, we ended up going out. We ended up getting married. We lost a baby, built a house together. All of this is while my life has been put on hold, and I'm preparing for trial and all that stuff. And so, anyways, we get married. We lose a baby. We built a house, and so. Around that time as well is when I find out that my husband and my best friend are sleeping together. And so not only am I processing the trial stuff, but then I'm also getting a divorce at 21. And so I just write stuff about this in my journals, at this time. So here we are, fast forward to 2010. I've been invited to Nashville to write with Paul Overstreet, and I was like, man, I got to come in the room with an amazing idea. And I had this idea. I had run into my ex-husband after we got divorced. I ran into them together because, mind you, I found out about it. I had gone to my mom's to stay for a few days because he wasn't coming home until 3:00 in the morning, a couple nights a week, and that's not normal. The bars close at midnight where we lived.
Yep.
And I had found out that he was cheating, and I basically said, if you choose me, then we can work through this. And he didn't choose me. He chose her. And so, anyways, I ran into them, and, you're from the same small town, and even the outskirt towns, they're not that big either. And so the main part of town is Waco, and when there's events that happen, everybody goes to the things in Waco, and so you have to run into each other. And every time I would run into him, I would fall apart a little bit all over again. And then finally I ran into him and I felt nothing, and I thought, hallelujah, where has this feeling been? Why couldn't you have come along way sooner? And so
Is that when you feel like you're ready to write about it?
I don't know, but it's even a thing, like, I had zero intentions of writing about it. But I wrote down, there stands a man I used to love. His hands, my skin, they used to touch. And I had some other stuff written down, but I walked into the room with Paul Overstreet and I told him those lines, and I was painting him the imagery of where I was. I walked into this dance hall and there they are. And so, it's like he twirled me around the sawdust floor. That don't happen no more, it's just, yeah. Writing this song called Feeling Nothing. And it was the first song that we recorded for everything that I recorded with Sony. Tony Brown, who produced the album, he has pitched that song to Reba. He has tried to get Reba to sing that song more than once. I love Tony Brown. And it's a song that everybody like has gravitated towards since the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I had zero intentions of writing about any of it. Here we are almost 10 years later. And Ex Old Man, we were talking about that earlier. The way that came about is I was writing with Paul again, and we were writing Drink Myself Out of Love with You. And I made a comment in passing, in which, by the way, the first song we ever wrote was Feeling Nothing. So Paul already knows I've got an ex-husband
Mm-hmm.
and an ex-best friend, but I make this comment about having an ex-husband and an ex-best friend, and Paul goes, hold on. He's like, we can shelve drinking ourselves out of love. You need to tell me how that went down. And so in telling him exactly what happened, we ended up writing Ex Old Man. And then when it came time to release a single to introduce Kristen Kelly to the world from a major label standpoint, everybody gravitated toward Ex Old Man. And I was like, well, you know what? It is 4 chords and the truth. So, hey, let's do it, because life's going to life sometimes. And whether I write about it or I sing something that somebody else has written, it's going to be relative to my life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how Ex Old Man came to be. And then I never would have dreamt that it would be my first Billboard top 30 single. And the whole situation, I feel like, changed my life for the better, not once but twice.
Yeah.
I got both those deadbeats out of my life, and I got a
Top 30 hit.
Billboard top
That's
30
right.
single,
Hell yeah.
hey.
I was thinking, as I'm listening to that song, I listen to it all the time. I think it's so funny and in a fateful kind of way that, like, you got this song and they cheated on you, and now millions and millions and millions of people know about it, right? The moral of the story out there, guys, is don't cheat on a songwriter.
Oh, well, yeah. But the thing is that it's resonated with a lot of people, which
Sure.
I hate to hear, because I hate to think that
Yeah.
everybody else has gone through, something similar. But at the same time, there are songs for me that when I listen to them, I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you for saying and singing what I couldn't say or sing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so to have something that I've lived through and a piece of art that I've been a part of creating be a part of some of the soundtrack of other people's lives, it's still just, is this my life? What is happening?
Yeah, it's going to be surreal. I want to talk about co-writing, because you've mentioned Paul Overstreet already, who, again, one of the best ever to do it, of any genre, in my opinion. But you've also been in the room with folks like Brandy Clark, Shane McAnally. Like, you've been around these incredibly talented people. How does it, for you creatively, what does it take for you to feel like you belong in those rooms? Because I know that imposter syndrome is so prevalent as well in creative people. Is that something you deal with?
I think that there's a small part of me that will always wonder, how is this my life?
Yeah.
Regardless of where I am. But I will say that I pray for the Lord to put my feet where He wants them to be, at all times. And so I've kind of tried to get to a headspace of just trust the process and show up, because you have no idea
Yeah.
you have no idea the magic that He has in store if you let go and let it be, and try to show up, the most unperfect, unpolished, but beautifully broken and vulnerable you, because honestly, I feel like that's all we can do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when you do show up, whether you feel prepared or not, I just want you to remember that if God's going to bring you to it, He's going to bring you through it. And so I just have to remind myself that,
Yeah. I just can't imagine, like, I'm a big songwriter nerd, obviously, having a show like this. I get to chat with some awesome people, just like you. I think you're a phenomenal songwriter, like, incredible songwriters. You mentioned lyricists, yes, like, incredible lyricists. I want to talk a little bit about kind of the vulnerability. You just mentioned that word, vulnerable, and that's obviously a big part of creating songs and just biographical stories in general from your own experiences. How are you deciding, as somebody who's living a hurtful experience at times, just like all of us, we all have our hurts, our pains, our stresses, but how are you deciding as a songwriter which songs to kind of keep close to your vest and which ones to publicize and share with people?
um I feel like it all comes together on its own. Um like I have so the Next Right Thing is going to be a part of my 111 project, which is scheduled for release January 20th. Um and it's interesting because the president of the label that I'm working with now in Dallas, Music Access Incorporated, um, it was the president's idea to call my next project 111.
It's a great idea.
Um,
Yeah.
After telling him the whole story,
Mm-hmm.
before we decided to release the Next Right Thing, and I thought that was a beautiful thing.
Sure.
But the songs that are going to be on the project are Daddy and That Old Dodge. There's another song that I had absolutely nothing to do with writing. It's called Run Back to Grace, and it's um and then there's a song called The Undefeated, which I wrote with Tom Douglas and Heather Morgan. And that song, I posted a video of it on my socials recently, and it's Tom playing the piano, it's Dan Dugmore playing steel, and I'm singing, and the verses is poetry that I wrote to process
Yeah.
stuff having gone through, and
So that's what I was
Heather
wondering.
and I walked into the room that day, and Tom was sitting at the piano, and he had that chorus already written. And so the three of us sat down and we wrote the bridge. I'm writing you this letter that I don't have to send, just like the past. It's a million pieces scattered in the wind. And so that's going to be on there. And there's an old gospel hymn that's going to be on there. And the Next Right Thing has been climbing the Southern Gospel and Positive Country chart, and we've been hanging out in the top. We were number 3, and then we spent 2 weeks at number 4, and then we went back to number 3, and then I think this week we dropped to number 6. But like I said, this is my highest charting single, and it's going to be a part of the project. And the question of like what songs to share, it's, I feel like, oh, there's another one that's on that project called "It Is What It Is" that I co-wrote with one of my my prior band members, Aaron Essice. Um, and it's a song that we wrote it 2015, so 10 years ago, you know,
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
like, you never know. You never know. It's not a matter, I don't think, or for me, I don't think it's like, oh, I wrote this and then like, okay, even though I wrote it 15 years ago and it hasn't been cut yet, it's never going to be cut. I think of like, out of everything in my catalog that I've written, what, oh my God, there's another one on there that I just remembered. It's called "Beautifully Broken" that I wrote with Blake Chafin and Doug Waterman. And I could have been on a beach, that's on my Live at Floribama project with those two, but "Beautifully Broken," I mean, where we're going, it's okay to be beautifully broken. That's going to be on my 111 project. So I don't ever think when I write something like, oh, if this hasn't been cut in the next however many months or whatever, then it's not ever going to be cut, and I'm just going to stow it away. I just kind of let them do what they do, you know? And I mean, honestly, they're not ours to hoard, you know? If the Lord um if the Lord puts a calling on your heart and a creative outlet, you know, he's our creator, is a creator,
Yeah.
and he created us in his perfect image, and gives us gifts to utilize to be lights, vessels for his light. So create, and whatever happens with them happens, you know.
Is it difficult for you to relive the songs in a live setting when you're performing out?
No, I don't think so. I feel like
It's because like today, when we were talking
performing.
about the next right thing, when we were just talking about the line about the truck, you got emotional. So
Yeah.
when you're performing it, does that happen?
Oh yeah, heck yeah, I've gotten emotional. Um, but I mean, I'm human,
Sure.
you know.
Yeah.
It could happen. Where if you show up to a Kristen Kelly show or whatever, if I have guitar in hand and a microphone in front of me and I am doing any kind of performing, we're probably gonna laugh, we're probably gonna cry, but I can guarantee we are gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
You know,
Much like
so
this show, by the way. You've already made me cry. You've already made me laugh. Um, so, man, what a great conversation this is. Thanks for doing this again, Kristen.
thank you.
Talk a little bit. Oh, so first of all, just so I got this right, the new record's coming out January 20th. Is that the plan?
Yeah.
All right, so this episode will be out after that. So that means your record should already be out for people to consume. So get
10
on that,
days.
y'all.
You know, this is,
Yeah.
it's been out for 10 days.
That's right. That's right. So y'all make sure you get over there and get you a copy of that. Stream the heck out of it. It's going to be called 111. Very serendipitous on that as well, from the prior stories today. I wanted to chat a little bit about your vocals because it's one of the things that really stands out to me about you is your ability to deliver a lyric in multiple different ways depending on the song, basically depending on what the lyric needs in the space that it's in. So I wanted to ask you, from a songwriting standpoint, how aware are you of your vocals in your toolbox when you're writing a song? In other words, when you're writing, are you thinking about your vocals, or is that more later when you're recording the song? Is that when you kind of come up with different ways of delivering a lyric? Do you know what I mean?
Yes, sir. That's a good question. I don't necessarily think about vocal delivery when I get into the creative process of writing. There are people that I have written with that think about vocal ability, like
Sure.
Even Stevens, with "He Loves to Make Me Cry." Every time that I
That
saw
that
him,
song just comes out vocally like there, right? Like, whoa. Yeah.
That's even Stevens. That's even Stevens. He every time I saw him, there was probably about a year from the time that I got introduced to him through Paul Overstreet. Um, it was like, we need to get together and we need to write this song. If we write it the way I hear it in my head, I think it could be really cool for your voice. And so finally the stars aligned, and scheduling wise, Paul and Even and I ended up in a room together, and we wrote the song, and we went and we cut a guitar vocal of it. And that vocal from the night that we wrote it is actually the vocal that's on the album. I did not have to sing that song however many times in the studio. Thank the good Lord. Because
I can imagine, yeah.
yeah. And so I'll say I don't think about vocal delivery whenever I'm writing. I just write stuff and then I'll try to figure it out. But there are people that I have written with, or that have pitched me songs that I didn't write that are like, hey, we could hear you singing this, you know?
I have one I'm going to be talking
Which
to you
always-
about on that too in a minute. So
It always intimidates me because I'm like, thank y'all for hearing something that you hear, but I don't know how
yeah,
let me just contort and do some vocal gymnastics for you, you know? I don't, it's intimidating.
Yeah,
you
so
know, a lot of times.
one song that from your catalog that basically you're talking about right now is he called me baby, which is an old Patsy Cline song, and just the stuff that you guys did with your version of this song is so freaking badass that I had to have this part of the on the pod because and I'm going to tell you what I hear when I'm listening to this. I played it like 8
Okay.
times in a row last night, over and over again. My family was like, all right, enough. So it's a Patsy Cline song. So, like, first off, like, you're expecting Patsy Cline to come out of this song, and there's no Patsy Cline present in this song. Zero Patsy Cline anywhere in this song. Now, musically speaking, I want you guys to imagine kind of like mid-70s Elvis here with the horns and the background vocalists and things like that. It's very Elvis-y, like, you know, post-68 comeback special, I feel. I'm a big Elvis fan, so I kind of heard that in there. And then vocally, it's very Aretha, like very Aretha Franklin in that song. And I'm just like, whoa, it's like if Elvis and Aretha came together on a song and just said, you know what, we're going to cover a Patsy Cline song today. It's so freaking badass. Like, it's so cool. So,
Thank you.
yeah. It's so damn cool, man. I
God.
guess tell us where all of this came from, like the mastermind behind this.
So, have you heard Candy Staten's version of it?
I haven't. No.
Okay, you gotta listen to Candy Staten's version of it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an old Harlan Howard tune, and Melanie,
Yeah.
Harlan's wife, is the one that pitched it to me and was like, "You need to sing this song," and yeah, it's the thing of it is so when I signed my record deal at Sony, I actually signed to RCA, and then before they released any music on me, they moved me to Arista. So any of the music that we released was on Arista. Well, we recorded a whole album, and they only released the 4-song Kristen Kelly EP, which had Drink Myself Out of Love with You, Miss Me, He Loves to Make Me Cry, and Ex-Old Man. So you had all of these other songs like Feeling Nothing, How Leaving Feels, Signs, Turn and Face Memphis, He Called Me Baby, Let It Break Your Heart, Feeling, I don't know if I already said Feeling Nothing, but How Do You Sleep at Night, which Brandy Clark, Shane McAnally, which was the song written to the ex-best friend.
Yep.
And so and then I got to, for the next album that we'd never ended up recording, they sent me in the studio with Dave Cobb, and I got to sing Soulshine and You Put the Hurt on Me. And so I was able to license my music, my masters from Sony. Started working with a guy who's no longer with the label, but in December of 23. And then we were able to get everything that had been unreleased mastered, and everything that had been prior released mastered, so everything was cohesive.
Mhm.
So that's where the Warrior album came from. And
Yeah.
that's all this music has been sitting there, you know, on the shelf for 14, however many years, you
Yeah.
know? And so I'm excited for that to be out and people to be able to hear. I'm not just a country artist. Like
No, no, not
I
even
love,
close.
I grew up listening to classic rock thanks to my dad. And somewhere along the way, I fell in love with the blues. And so I feel like sonically, my music is all of that put together, a bit more greasy than polished, you
Man,
know.
if somebody's gonna name the genre, man, it's Kristen Kelly. That's the genre, right? Like straight up. That's just the way it is, man. Like, there's no other way to describe that shit, man. There's just not. Like, from song
Oh,
to song, man, you talk about that vocal delivery and that even Stevens thing. And, man, I'll tell you what, when you're listening to your catalog and that song pops up, like, it's just, whoa, okay, welcome to the car, wherever you are listening, right? Like, that song really wakes you up. And that's important, right? Like, that delivery. Man, what a treat it is to have you here. So we have a bunch of these short segments that I call off the rails. Okay, so we're gonna go off the rails with Kristen Kelly, and you'll have some fun with these. So you'll get to choose some of these segments too. Now the first two that you can pick from, one is called "Did You Know" and one is called "Algorithm." Which one would you like to do?
did you know?
All right. So what is something people may not know about you?
Um, well, if they dig deep enough, they know that I was a roller skater. I taught roller skating lessons. I still have my skates. I went skating. Uh, I can't remember. I went skating at one of the local rinks, and they tried to get me to be an instructor. I was like, I don't skate like I used to. I don't think that's a good idea.
That's awesome. All right, next one is called impactful. Can you name three people that impacted your life in some way, and then tell us the number one thing you learned from each of those people?
Okay, three people that have impacted my life, and what have I learned from those people? Yeah, one, Brandon Jenkins, and that is to speak up, even if your voice shakes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Be confident and speak up. Speak your truth. Like, say what you got to say, even if your voice shakes. He really inspired me to just write, you know, and speak. And my dad, um, he was a really, really hard worker. He was a mechanic and did excavation work, and he welded and um, just really instilled in me the importance of always doing the next right thing, um, and showing up, you know, um, because we're all beautifully broken, and as far as I think a songwriter goes, um, Merle Haggard is one of my favorite ever. Like songwriters, performers. I never had the opportunity to meet him. Um,
What'd you learn from Merle?
well, you can say a lot by saying a little,
I love it.
and
Golly, that's so good.
because that's what he did.
He did,
I mean,
yeah.
if you
Mm-hmm.
whether it's the songs that he wrote or the songs that he recorded that somebody else wrote, I mean, there's so many nuggets of wisdom in his music, and just you know, his story too. Um,
He just had such
I
a
think
knack to say things that all of us have the ability to think and write, and we just never do, right? Like he figured it out in such a simplistic way, and then just made it seem so unbelievably difficult, even though it wasn't. Right? Like, it's like, man, why didn't I think of that? Like, that's so easy. Anybody should have been able to think of that. Right? Like, one of my favorite songs by him is a song called No Time to Cry. And like I said earlier, when, you know, I'm trying to keep my mom together, I'm trying to keep my kids together, there is no time to cry. There's just not. And man, here's a guy that gets it and just said it in the most easiest way, and then you're just like, man, why didn't I think of that? Right? That's moral, I think. All right, next segment. Choose either Mount Rushmore, or the other segment is called One Artist. Which one you want to try?
okay, Mount Rushmore and what?
The other one's called One Artist.
One artist. Um, one artist.
All right, so who is one artist or songwriter that you wish the whole world knew about?
Hmm. Hmm. One artist. One artist and or songwriter?
Or songwriter, yeah, it can be either one.
Well, I mean, Merle's an obvious, but my friend Lexi Lou. I've written a lot of stuff with her. It's some stuff that's going to be coming out. She has her own thing that she does, and people should hear it.
I love that. Second time that name's been mentioned, Kenzie also chose her.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, next segment is called What the Heck. So basically, I have a list of 50 random questions here. And before we start, I randomly select 5 numbers. And so that basically corresponds to the questions I'm asking you in this segment. So this is kind of like a game show style segment. I'm going to give you 5 questions. Just tell me the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the question, okay?
Okay.
All right, number 1, if your pet could talk, what would it say about you?
Throw my turtle. I don't know. Like, I have 100-pound silver lab.
Oh my God.
And he loves, we bring him all kinds of toys all the time, but he's got a turtle that he just loves right now.
That's awesome.
He's like, what would he say about me? She throws my turtle. Mom, you want to throw my turtle?
I love it.
I don't know.
All right, number 2, are you more of an early bird or a night owl?
Night owl. I have been my whole life.
Yeah.
I can be an early bird if I absolutely have to be, but night owl.
I see. I cannot be an early bird.
I actually have an owl call, and I talk to owls.
That's what you could have said. Something people don't know about you. See, that's a missed opportunity, Kristen. All right, number 3. All right, so this is an interesting question that was just added. So you're going into battle. All right, so picture yourself, you're going into battle, and you can choose any animal to ride into battle. Now, it can be any size animal, but if it's smaller than a horse, then it will be blown up to the size of a horse. And if it's bigger than a horse, it will be shrunk to the size of a horse. So which animal would you ride into battle?
Well, it sounds like they want us to ride in on a horse. Well, hey, nay.
See, I would choose a scorpion.
If it's smaller than a horse, it's going to be upsized to a horse, and if it's bigger than a horse, it's going to be downsized to a horse. So I feel like a horse.
Yeah, but there's lots of animals that are going to have attributes that a horse doesn't have, like a scorpion, for example. Can you imagine?
I'm good. She's
like, nah. All right, number 4. What world record do you think you have a shot at breaking? I cannot wait to hear this.
I'm crying. I don't know. A world record. I just giggle at the thought of like, it's definitely not going to be whistling because it can't whistle. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's not whistling.
Uh, and it's not going to be cooking anything because it can't cook.
So your
I really
nickname,
don't know.
your
I
nickname will
don't
never
know.
be the whistling cook, right?
Ow, well, in my like wannabe falconry majestic, it would be owl calling.
Okay, owl calling. It was all right. So she's going for the world record for wannabe owl calling.
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed pretty easy. You're just gonna say who over and over again, right? All right, number 5. What was your most awkward moment on stage?
Well. I don't know. I've had a heel get stuck in a hole on stage. That's why I don't wear high heels anymore. I never really was good at wearing them anyways. I'm more of a Carhartt and big,
Yeah.
like I don't know. There's times where I have like completely mentally spaced out and like sang left entire verses. I've left half of the song out,
Well,
and then
that's when you revert back into owlhood, I would think, right?
yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's been pretty embarrassing when you're like, "What up?" blah blah blah, and you say the wrong venue, and you're there like, oh.
Or the wrong title to a song, right, Kristen? Oops.
Yeah.
See, I did that earlier.
Or you say the title to one song, and then your brain and your hands just play a whole nother song.
Yeah.
Or they play that song that you're supposed to be playing in a whole nother rhythm, and you're like, "What is happening? Who is playing right now? I am not myself."
I love it. All right, next segment. Choose either bucket list or the other one's called fly on the wall.
Fly on the wall.
All right, so in all of history, which room would you have liked to have been a fly on the wall in?
That's a deep
Absolutely. Yep.
and heavy question.
We try to be different on here, Kristen.
Mm-hmm. Man, that's really hard to say because, like, I mean, if you could have been a fly on the wall when the Highwaymen were doing their thing, or like Skinner was doing their thing, or like Bob Seger was doing his thing, or like, how do I choose?
Right.
It's impossible.
I think all of those are good ones, though. I like that. All right. So next one's called Biggest Lesson. What do you think's the biggest lesson you've learned directly from music?
Is that there's magic all around you. Like it really, there's magic all around us, and we are not that far apart,
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Music brings us together.
Yes, it's
Love it.
It's a healing thing. It's there's so many commonalities in people's stories, like, okay, the house that built me. I can tell you where I was when I heard that song for the first time and what I thought about when I heard it, and however many other people are there out there with just that song alone.
Yeah.
There's songs, you can hear songs and it puts you at a time and place. So it's like to be a part of that magic it's crazy.
Yeah, I agree. All right, next one's called Grateful. Can you tell us 3 things you're the most grateful for?
I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful for God's grace. I'm grateful for the gift of music.
Good stuff. That's 3.
How many was I supposed
Yeah,
to?
that's 3. Good stuff. All
Yeah.
right, last segment, and sometimes this is the hardest one to answer. It's a very self-reflective question. The segment is
Okay.
called "Who Do You Think You Are?" So, who is Kristen Kelly?
I am a happy person, and I want everybody else to be happy, and I want everybody else to feel heard and nourished, and welcome. And again, I pray for the Lord to put my feet where He wants them to be, and I pray to be a vessel for His light and His love, and for His will to be done in my life. And however I can do that, being a vessel, serving, continuing to write and share my music and show up for that. There's things that I'm about to do outside of music. I'm launching my Brave Feather Foundation. I'm a recognized nonprofit in the state of Texas. And yeah, so there's things that I just hope to leave a legacy of light, and a safe place for people to feel welcome.
I love your energy. Just so you know, love your
Thank
energy.
you.
You're so joyful, and I'm just I'm very proud of you for where you are in life, knowing where you've come from, the things that you've gone through, the things that you've battled. To still have a smile on your face through all that, and still know how unbelievably lucky you are. You are a testament and should be an inspiration to other people as well. So, just thank you
Thank
for your
you.
energy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Kristen
Thank
Kelly
you.
has a brand new record out, guys. It's called 111, and it's a deeply personal experience for Kristen, and hopefully you guys will love it. I'm sure you will. The new single is called The Next Right Thing, even though I butchered it earlier. It's The Next Right Thing. It is the biggest hit of Kristen Kelly's career so far, and probably a predictor of things to come as well. The website is KristenKellyMusic.com. We're going to put a link in the description down below for that. The social media is on Facebook. It's Kristen Kelly Music. On Instagram, it's also Kristen Kelly Music. YouTube is Kristen Kelly Music. And TikTok is Kristen. Wait a minute. I don't see your. Do you have a TikTok, Kristen?
Yeah, I do.
Pretty sure it's also Kristen Kelly Music, but I'm going to double check real quick because I know a lot of folks use TikTok.
Yeah, it's at Kristen Kelly Music.
There it is.
Or
All right, so
supposed
it's
to be.
pretty uniform everywhere. So make sure you're following along on your favorite platform. And the website is badass. There's merch on there. There's more information about a podcast that we didn't get to talk about today. You can book her there.
Yeah.
You can get her bio. Her tour information is there. Did we miss anything, Kristen?
I don't think so.
I appreciate you doing this again, and you're always welcome back anytime you want to chat.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much.
No,
It's an honor. I'm humbled and I'm grateful.
Hey, this is Presley Hale, and thank you for tuning in to the Boston Chris Show.